The Zelda games are predominantly set in the kingdom of Hyrule, but not all of them. Throughout the series, we've seen Link adventure through distant lands like Holodrum or Hytopia, and parallel worlds like Termina and the world of the Ocean King. But I often find myself wondering about the wider world of Zelda. The distant lands, the faraway countries, the alternate dimensions we don't see. What other continents are there on this planet? What other planes of existence are there beyond this one? Throughout the series, there are quite a number of places referenced but never seen or travelled to. Places that we know exist in the Zelda canon, but have never been properly featured in any of the games. For example, Tears of the Kingdom introduces Yona, Sidon's fiancée. She wasn't seen in Breath of the Wild, and this is explained by her character profile, which notes that she is a royal Zora from another domain, who has only recently arrived, apparently helping combat the toxic sludge as soon as she did so. However, the stone tablet near Luto's Crossing, written by Sidon himself, mentions how Sidon was shy around Yona when he was young, implying that she visited multiple times before the events of Tears of the Kingdom. This is fascinating because it reveals the existence of an entirely separate Zora's domain, with its own royalty, somewhere outside of Hyrule. Somewhere over these oceans, or across these inaccessible plains, there are more Zora, who interact with and visit the Hyrulean Zoras. Of course, we never see Yona's domain, or learn anything about where it is found, but it is evidence that Hyrule is found in a larger world, with more places and people beyond its borders. As of this video's release, we don't know anything about the next mainline 3D Zelda game, but I'd love to see Link explore a distant land away from Hyrule, with its own unique cultures and history. The Wind Waker is set in Hyrule, or rather above it, taking place centuries after a great flood drowned the kingdom beneath a new ocean. And much like with Yona, we get tiny references to lands beyond Hyrule, past the borders of the Great Sea, where the King of Red Lions will turn Link around. The travelling merchants, for example, are huge figures wearing giant backpacks with their faces covered with hats. However, this cunning disguise doesn't fool anyone. They're Gorons, who are otherwise conspicuously absent from the game. Dragon Roost Island appears to be what has become of Death Mountain, the ancestral home of the Gorons in Ocarina of Time, and we can even find statues of what appear to be Gorons in Dragon Roost Cavern. But the Gorons themselves are nowhere to be found. The Gorons claim to have sailed their tiny raft all this way from far, far away, suggesting that the Gorons abandoned Death Mountain and Hyrule at large after the Great Flood, settling on some distant land from which these merchants set sail. A similar comment is made by Zunari, the owner of the shop on Windfall Island. He's a small, mustachioed man in a great hooded coat, and claims to have travelled across cursed seas from a land far away, a land where the blizzards blow violently, heading for this town called Windfall. His figurine description claims that his birthplace is a cold island, but outside of the tiny Ice Ring Isle, which doesn't have a village on it, nowhere across the Great Sea matches his description, meaning he came from elsewhere. The HD version of the game adds tingle into Zunari's backstory. He claims that there was one other person with me, yes there was, but I dare say he was immediately arrested based on his somewhat suspicious looks and thrown right in jail. Yes, just locked up somewhere on this island. So I guess we can add Tingle to the list of characters from outside of Hyrule in this game too. Similar to this, in Phantom Hourglass, Link encounters the Ho-Ho tribe, an entire group of people who resemble Old Man Ho-Ho from The Wind Waker. The The Ho-Hos can be found in the southeastern sea, and will buy specific treasure from Link every day for a large sum of rupees. Apparently, they originate from the country of Wayaway, across the ocean, looking for treasure. They explain that certain items are treasure to the people of Wayaway, which is why they'll pay a premium for some items. Of course, we never see Wayaway, and considering the bizarre, illusory nature of the world of the Ocean King, in which the events of Phantom Hourglass take place, it's debatable whether it even really exists. However, Old Man Ho-Ho from the Wind Waker's birthplace is apparently unknown, so perhaps he hails from this faraway land. Of course, Majora's Mask isn't set in Hyrule, but instead the parallel world of Termina, a bizarre, surreal place filled with doppelgangers of the people Link met during Ocarina of Time. Despite its dreamlike qualities, Termina has its own deep history, and nowhere is this more apparent than with the ancient kingdom of Ikana. The history of Ikana is shrouded in mystery. By the time Link arrives, it is a haunted wasteland, inhabited only by the dead. We learn very little about this place, except for the fact that it was once at war with cloaked figures named Garrow, who are apparently spies from an enemy nation. This enemy nation is presumably somewhere beyond the borders of the parts of Termina Link has access to, meaning it's another unseen land. Or is it? Link does encounter another Garrow, the Garrow Master, within the Stone Tower Temple, the dungeon of the Ikana region. This place is one of the strangest and most fascinating areas in any Zelda game, a labyrinthian structure that can be inverted, flipped upside down with the light arrows. The Garrow Master appears in this room, or rather above it, first seen standing on this ledge above a circular hole in the ceiling. Well, when the temple is inverted, Link can drop into this hole and access the dungeon's boss chamber, a vast desert beneath a blue sky. Great dunes stretch into the horizon, and crumbling ruins are buffeted by the whirling sands. Considering that the Garrow Master appeared to come from this desert to fight Link, might this be the home of the Garrow? There's a fantastic video covering this possibility in depth made by my good friend Monster Maze, which I'll link in a card and in the description. It seems absolutely plausible that the desert in which Link fights Twin Mold is indeed the enemy nation from which they sent spies. But considering the ambiguity, I still think it deserves a place on this list. The Minish Cap begins with a legend. In a distant time, the land was assailed by monsters. When the land was on the brink of doom, the Picori, also known as the Minish, appeared from the sky and gifted the hero of men a sword and a golden light. Ever since, every year Hyrule celebrates with the Picori Festival, commemorating the intervention of the Minish and their relationship with the Hylians. There are Minish who live in Hyrule, though they can't be seen by adults and are too small for anyone to notice even if they could. They live in mouse holes in the skirting boards of shops, the rafters of houses, or in mushroom huts in the long grass, but their main settlement is deep in the Minish woods to the southeast. But the Minish aren't native to Hyrule. They come from a different plane of existence entirely, the Minish realm. Every 100 years, the Minish door opens in the courtyard of Hyrule Castle, leading to the Elemental Sanctuary, a strange realm trapped between two worlds, a bridge between the human world and the Minish world, the place from which the Picori first appeared to aid the hero of men against his foes. This realm is never seen in-game, except for one cutscene, where we see Vati take the mage's cap from his mentor, Eslo, and transform into a dark sorcerer. This cutscene ostensibly takes place inside Eslo's workshop in the Minish realm, though it still closely resembles the Minish habitats seen in Hyrule. It's filled with human-made items, like a candle and wooden cogs. which you wouldn't expect if this was truly the home realm of the Minish, creating some doubt on where this workshop is actually situated. Regardless of this discrepancy, the Minish realm is an incredibly enigmatic place that we never get to properly see, leaving their home and their reasons for aiding the hero of men all those years ago a mystery. In the final chamber of Ocarina of Time's Forest Temple, Link is ambushed by Ganondorf, or rather a phantom of Ganondorf, who rides out from the paintings on the walls before challenging Link to Dead Man's Volley. When defeated, the real Ganondorf's voice echoes out, "But you have defeated only my phantom. When you fight the real me, it won't be so easy. What a worthless creation that ghost was. I will banish it to the gap between dimensions." And the phantom is destroyed. Its corporeal form dissolves into the air, and an eerie blue light, perhaps its spirit, is pulled down into a swirling dark portal on the ground. This is the only mention of this gap between dimensions in the series. If we consider alternate worlds such as the Dark World, Termina, and Hyrule dimensions, then we might infer that this phantom is now stuck in the emptiness between them, trapped forever somewhere in the fabric of reality itself. Terrifying, but such is the price for failing Ganondorf. Thanks for watching this video. I thought it'd be a fun idea to look at something different this time and focus on the places we don't see in Zelda. This is by no means an exhaustive list. I'm sure I've missed a few important ones, and if so, let me know in the comments below. Cheers guys, and I'll see you next time.